community. And wow, what a mighty thing, what a great thing to do. And so I'm really so much touched by this. I think it's a great ministry. Let's keep doing this. God bless you all. As you heard, I am Ngule. I am at Frederick Health Hospital, where I work as a chaplain, and where I also work as right now I'm also a trainer of chaplains. And basically, just maybe 1 or 2 minutes, we we are called upon during easy and very difficult times. Sometimes we are called upon when the doctor is trying to communicate very bad news to family. It could be news that someone has cancer. It could be news that someone is going to die. Or we are called upon to accompany the doctors. We are kind of team members, and we go in, and our role is to take over. The doctor makes the announcement and walks out, and so the chaplain is there. Now you have to deal with this, and part of dealing with it is not necessarily solving it, but our intention, of course, is to commit to the Lord and help the family trust God. But the other part is because some of the families do not know God, or some of the patients may not even want to know about God. The main part is to be able to be with them and walk with them, and help them process what has been said. For example, if someone is told you're going to die in 3 weeks, our role will be there to be with them and process that. How is it for them to die in 3 weeks? And some of these become opportunities for people to even to think about their lives. But if you're going to die in 3 weeks, are you ready for that death? And people will tell us, no, I'm actually not ready. And how would you want me to tell you how to be ready? So there are many opportunities that come, but there are also times when, of course, people say, I don't want to talk about God, because if God loved me, why am I sick? And of course, we have learned not, I don't have to defend God really, but you can tell that if someone is annoyed and they are not even willing to give God a chance, then it becomes very difficult conversation. And of course, there are moments of joy, like when someone has given birth or something like that. There are also moments of joy. There are moments when we are taking communion to people, and all that. So, but for now, I'm doing that, but also training others who want to be chaplains. I'm training church leaders, pastors who want to take this. And as Kolewa said, this is an opportunity to minister. I see chaplaincy as being in the marketplace. This is the marketplace. All sorts of people are here, but many people, because of being in that moment of intense trial, many people give God a chance. And that's why I like to be there, just for those few who may want to give God a chance because they have hit the wall. And so I use that opportunity. So before I became a chaplain, I was a pastor. And then when I came to the US, I found this and I started doing this. So back to this fellowship, I'm really grateful. I could hear in our prayers how we were speaking God into situations. And what God put in my heart to talk about today is a call to surrendered life and not defensive life. I'm calling upon us to live a surrendered life instead of a defensive lifestyle. And the world is full of attack. And you could even hear some of the prayer items today. There's so much attack out there. Listening to politics, and listening to even what is happening, there's just so much of attack. And well, for example, First Timothy. Let's just start with that passage there, First Timothy, chapter 3, First Timothy. No, Second Timothy 3, verse 1 It says, you must understand this, that in the last days, distressing times will come. We are in those times of distress. For people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, inhuman, implacable, slanderers, profligates, brutes, haters of good, treacherous, reckless, sullen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, holding to the outward form of godliness but denying its power. Avoid them. That short description is so true in the current world that we have, where the world seems to be full of attack. There's just so much going on in the world today. There's so much hostility. But coming back to the way we prayed, I really resonated with many of our prayers today, where we were speaking peace in that hostility. We were speaking sanity in that insanity situation. And that's the power of what believers do. Believers, one of our role is to look into a world that is decaying, and instead of flowing with it or accepting that the world is this way and therefore we are victims, we speak that which we need the world to be. We speak the contrary, and and so we this is where we are as Christians. Are we going to lie low in this distressful time and just accept that people are lovers of money, and that people are arrogant, and people are abusive, and that people are disobedient, and that this is the new reality? Are we going to accept this as our new reality, or are we going to speak God into the situation? Are we going to speak peace where there is no peace? Are we going to speak joy where there is no joy? And it feels like most of the times, even as a chaplain, that's what I do. I'm called in when the worst is happening, but I would like to walk in there and not just see what they are thinking, but bring some sense of hope, or bring Christ, or bring peace. And sometimes telling people, yes, you may be dying, but you can also die in the Lord, and death is not the end. And so this is what I'm being led of today, as we worship together, as we fellowship together. There's those of us, and I know many of us have watched soccer. There are times when the coach decides, now we are going to play defensive game. When the coach decides that the game is going to be defense, it's because the coach is thinking the opponents are going to attack them, the opponents are going to score. And so when he makes that decision, what really means is that the team stops the attempts to score, but they all gather at the back, and they are trying to defend their goalkeeper from being scored. But I'll tell you that when the coach makes that decision and turns the game into a defensive game, defense will kill the possibility of new scores. When you are defending, you don't even think about scoring the opponent, because you are defending yourself from being scored. Defense assumes defeat. Defense kills creativity. Defense increases anxiety. Defense is exhausting. Defense is exhausting. And so, again, asking myself today, if I live this life defensively, then it means I'll be exhausted. It means I'll kill creativity. It means I'll probably not see opportunities. It means probably I will assume that I'm defeated, I'm a victim, and many such things. And maybe you're asking, in what ways can a man of God or a Christian or someone like me live defensively? Sometimes you look at what is the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning. Do you think about your bank account? Do you think about your job? Do you think about your car? Do you think about your mortgage? What is the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning? Do you wake up in the morning and dread going to work? Do you wake up in the morning and dread your boss? Maybe, maybe we don't even wake up excited. Why? Because we have already adopted a defensive lifestyle. So there are all these systems, as I'm saying, there are all these systems that are seemingly on the attack, and what they are doing is they are the result of this kind of systems and lifestyle living is that we have more people who are depressed. We have more people who are experiencing bitterness. We have more people who are not experiencing joy, just because we have somehow told ourselves we are into defense, and life is about defense, and life is about surviving, and life is about making it, and life is about all that. And so, once again, the excitement today for me was to hear even how we prayed, and that we are calling it to being that which is not there. But by calling it to being, we are actually having faith that it may be hostile now, but we are calling it to being that which we want. And so I don't think I need to prove any further that there is so much attack in the world. So what really happens is attack. Once we perceive we are being attacked, we also unconsciously begin to develop attack thoughts. We begin to create in our systems, in our lives, mechanisms to attack back, and that's what I'm calling the defense. Of course, when we feel unjustly treated, or when we feel that the system is unfair, life is unfair, we can easily drift into that place where we want to attack back. Whether we are reading the story of Cain and Abel in the Bible, Cain and Abel, the reason why there was death, that first death where a brother killed another brother, was because one felt unjustly treated, one felt attacked, and when he felt attacked, he decided to kill the brother. So the result of deciding that we have been attacked can even lead to things, as we read in the Bible, whether it's the story of Cain and Abel or the story of Esau and Jacob. It leads to a lot of bitterness. It leads to anger. It leads to joyless living, and things like that. And so when attacked, when we perceive and when we think we have been attacked, there are usually two responses. And I want us to go to the book of Luke and see this story that Jesus gave about, as we Luke chapter 6. I'm going to read verse 27 through 42. I'll just read very quickly about Luke 6, from verse 26. But I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you. And if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Of course, in that section, you can see how Christ is asking us to, instead of defending ourselves or instead of attacking back, we are to take the option of loving back. We as Christians have the capacity to decide to choose not to attack back. We have the capacity to to decline the temptation to attack back. And there are all these many examples that Jesus Christ is given here. And I'm sure even in your own life, there are times when you felt attacked. There are times when someone has accused you, maybe because of your color. There are times when people have refused to promote you because of many things, of racism, of whatever it is that they have done, and all these things. So people are constantly attacking us, or life is constantly attacking us. And Jesus is saying, do not choose, when attacked, do not choose to attack back. The attack is a trap. Attack is a trap. Escape from attack thoughts. Jesus is saying, escape from attack mode. Don't be in attack mode. And then he continues in verse 32, if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love themselves. And so from verse 32, you see that Jesus is saying, sometimes we don't necessarily attack back. Sometimes we decide, okay, you are treating me this way, I'll leave you alone, I will not love you. But Jesus is saying, if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For from whom, for even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But verse 35, but love your enemies, do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High. For he's kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful just as your Father is merciful. So again, in that short section, Jesus is challenging us that if we are at, discriminative in the people that we love, or in the way we respond to our responses to the attack world, there is no credit, and is encouraging us to seek credit, to seek to be credited by God by refusing attack thoughts. So that when I can easily attack back because someone has attacked me, Jesus is saying, ignore the need to do that, because when you do that, you'll be credited, you'll be blessed. He says your reward in 35b, your reward will be great, and you'll be children of the Most High. Your reward will be great. And so there are many times when we want to attack back, even our own wives, our own children. There are times when at home we feel mistreated. We don't feel like we are even appreciated for the many hours we put to work. And there are times when we feel like no one really cares. There was someone who told me, maybe pastor, it's probably easier to be a woman than to be a man. I wish I was a woman. And I asked him, why do you wish you were a woman? Because I'll just sit home and the man will do all the work. Right now, I'm doing all the work, and the woman who sits at home keeps complaining. I wish it was different. Well, I don't know about that, but there are times when we'll feel like we are being unfairly treated by life, and unfairly treated or assumed by even the people that should love us. And so the word for Jesus here is, if you take the path of I'm attack, and the one who attacks me, I'll attack back. Or if you take the path of attack thoughts or defensiveness, you will not be credited anything. There's no reward for you. There's no blessing for you. And so it's good for us to know that even when it feels unfair, maybe your reward is great. Your reward is great. This is a call to love. This is a call to be humble. This is a call to trust God. This is a call to let God fight for us. This is a call to tell God, God, I'm struggling. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my two jobs. And I'm trusting you, Lord, to be there for me. I'm trusting you, Lord, to intervene for me. I think we cannot. You cannot be struck by someone on one cheek and give the other cheek, unless you are looking at a higher reward. The reason someone would strike me and I give them the other cheek is because I'm looking at God. I'm looking at a higher reward. So, and then he continues, verse 37, do not judge and do not be judged. Do not condemn and do not be condemned. Forgive and you'll be forgiven. Give, it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. Again, the whole issue about judgment is basically condemnation. When we experience attack, or when we experience any form of hostility, the issue is that we are likely to condemn the person or the people that are doing that which they are doing. But there's a sense in which it's very important for us to understand that the judge is a victim. Any moment you put yourself in the seat of judgment, Jesus is saying you are also going to be judged. And why is that so? Now, there's we all, when we judge, it's like we are touching the unholy. Because when we are judged, we are accusing. When we are a judge, we are probably lying. When we judge, we are hating. When we judge, we are angry. So you cannot judge without touching that which defiles you. Judging defiles you because there is anger involved, because there is a hatred involved, because there are all sorts of things that are involved in judging. So when you are judging, you are also defiling yourself. And so there is a sense in which the judge is as defiled as the one being judged. And so both of us, me who is judging and the person who I think is rightly in need of judgment, we become, both of us, we become sinners, in so to say. So Jesus is saying the person who I'm judging will be judged or punished, and I will also be punished. Now, the other part of this is that when we judge, there's a sense of guilt that remains. We are not left clean. There's a sense of, and there's a sense in which I feel that I'm guilty, and I feel that I'm deserving of punishment. So it is that thinking deeply within us that I've also committed a sin, and therefore I deserve a punishment, that draws an actual punishment. So by judging, I invite. It's an invitation for judgment, and actually the judgment does come. The judgment does come, and so Jesus is saying, instead of judging, forgive, and you'll be forgiven. So when I need to condemn, probably I need just to forgive. And the best story, and sometimes there are people that we forgive who do not deserve forgiveness. Of course, there are people that we forgive that do not ask for forgiveness. And it's all that. I mean, there are people that we forgive and they continue hurting us. All that is very complicated. Forgiveness is another complication thing. But I'm reminded always of the story, I think it was of Stephen, who was being stoned, who said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. So sometimes I forgive people, even if they have not asked for forgiveness, because they don't know what they're doing. And so then the final part of this, he says in verse 39, he also told them a parable. Can a blind person guide another blind person? Will not both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above the teacher, but everyone who is fully qualified will be like the teacher. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? How can you say to your neighbor, friend, let me take out the speck in your eye, when you say do not see the log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you clearly see the speck out of your neighbor's eye. Basically, we are disqualified from judging because we cannot see. It's not that because there's a bigger log in my eye. So basically, the bigger log in my eye makes me impossible to see, and so basically, I cannot really judge, and that disqualifies me from being a good judge. I'm not a judge at all. So the point here again is we are to walk away from attack thoughts, walk away from the desire to attack others, walk away from the desire to condemn, walk away from the desire to be defensive. It doesn't work. It's not profitable for us. It's not profitable. Now, maybe you're asking, what is a defensive lifestyle? Defensive lifestyle, what I'm calling defensive lifestyle here is how much time are we allocating to God versus how much time are we allocating to life? Because there's a sense in which defensive, maybe the need for money, the need for this, maybe there's a sense in which I've gotten so much into trying to look for money that I've even forgotten God. Maybe there's a sense in which I'm trying to look for money that I've even forgotten time with my family. Maybe there's a time in which I'm trying to get money that I even forgot a time with my own children. So that can be a way in which we can say we are defensively living because we have tried to make money everything, while we know that money is not everything. What about caring for ourselves? Men are very men are likely not to care for themselves. How often do you care for yourselves? How often do you take a break? How often do you just stay home and rest and say, you know what, today I'm just I'm taking off. I'm taking off. I have bills, but bills will wait. And how are we taking care of ourselves? And some of these bills, do we really need them? Do we really need them? Do we really need these debts? So maybe we have gotten ourselves into defensive lifestyle by some of the decisions we've made, by not taking care of ourselves, by not having self-care, by not thinking about ourselves, thinking about your future, by not resting. Because when you don't rest, you go into your sleep is what they call sleep deprived, and when you are sleep deprived, you are likely to be a little bit on the edge. The way you talk to your people, the way you talk to your family, you find yourself a little bit on the edge, easily angered, easily annoyed, and so forth. So maybe we are defensively living because we are not able to show, as we have read in this passage, we are not able to be merciful. Christ says, "Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful." Verse 36. Where has mercy gone to? Maybe men have become less merciful because of defensive lifestyles. Maybe we have become defensive because of the fact that we only love those who love us. We don't have time for those who do not love us. Or we only lend money to those who lend money. We only befriend those who can be of benefit to us because we don't have time for the others. So I think it's important for us to consider this seriously. Now, Ephesians, let's just look at that as we move on. I want us to go to Romans, but as we go to Romans, let me mention Ephesians 12, verse 14. That says that we are to pursue peace, for example. Ephesians, we are to pursue peace. How often do you pursue peace? Ephesians does not. Ephesians 4, It should be Ephesians 4. Is that Ephesians 4? No, Ephesians. Well, I don't think I'm finding that part. I don't know. Anyway, Ephesians talks about pursue peace. Yeah, but let's go to Romans. I can't find that passage right now. Let's go to Romans. As I maybe the last. What is the root cause of defensive lifestyle? Romans 8. So there are many ways in which Romans 8. I'll read verse 13. Romans 8, verse 14, and I'll read 14 and 13. I mean 14 and 15, sorry. Romans 8, I'll read 14 and 15. Yes, Romans 8, 14 and 15. And 14 says, "For who are led of the Spirit of God are children of God. For you did not receive a spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you received a spirit of adoption. We cry, Abba, Father." And then it continues there. I'll probably come back to that. I want to say here that a defensive lifestyle is rooted in fear. Is rooted in fear. And fear manifests in many ways. I mean, the reason why I would want to hate someone who hates me is because I'm thinking, I've decided that they have a power to harm me. But let me tell you, no one has power to do you anything until you give them the power. So it's rooted in fear. And there are two main fears that I'll mention today. One is scarcity, scarce mindset, thinking that I do not have, the fear that I may not have food, the fear that I may not have this or the other. Matthew is very good with Matthew 6:25 as a very good story here, or admonition in Matthew 6:25. Therefore, I tell you, do not worry about your life. Do not worry about your life, or what you will eat, or what you will drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more of value than they? And can any of you be worrying add a single hour of your lifespan? And why do you worry about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? Therefore do not worry, saying, what we will eat, or what we will drink, or what we will wear. For it is the Gentiles who thrive for all these things. And indeed, your Heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. But strive fast for the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and those things will be given to you. We are worried and afraid of these things, the daily issues. That fear throws us into defensive living. That fear. God is telling us today, don't worry. I got you. Don't worry. I got you. And I like verse 3. It says, all these things will be added to you. Meaning, all these clothes, food, those are additions. Those are additions. And God says, those ones I will give you freely. God gives us food freely. These are additions. You don't even need to pray for those. Now, abandonment. The other one is fear of being abandoned by God. Now, this is very common. Sometimes we fear that God has abandoned us. The fear of abandonment. Sometimes abandonment by people. We are afraid that we may be abandoned by people. We are afraid that people may leave us alone. So it is this fear of men. Basically, it's fear of men. And Proverbs 29:25. You can just write that down. Proverbs 29:25. That says that fear of men can become a snare. The fear of man can become a snare. And then you can also write Isaiah 8:11-15, that says, do not even fear what men fear. Isaiah 8:11-15. So the fear, let's not be afraid of men. Let's not be afraid of other people. And let's just trust God. I guess this is a message about trust. And so as we end today, I guess I'm calling upon us to consider giving up attack thoughts. Let's consider giving up attack thoughts, and let's consider taking up surrender. Surrender is the path that brings peace. Surrender is the path that brings peace. There's no other way for us. And surrender, when I'm talking surrender, you can call it trust. Trust is the way of peace. And so I'll end with this verse in Romans 8. Romans 8 again, and says, because there are two types of thinking, and I'll start from verse 5. For those who live according to the flesh set their minds on things of the flesh, but those who live according to the Spirit set their minds on things of the Spirit. To set the mind on the flesh is death, but to set the mind on the Spirit is life and peace. So you see, there are those two minds. There's a mind that is set on flesh, and there's a mind that is set on the Spirit. And the Bible here is saying, those who set their mind on flesh, the result is death. And death is what we are talking about, this idea of attack. We attack because we are trying to defend the body. We attack because we are trying to defend ego. All forms of attack are ego-based. And then we are told that the other type of a mind is mind that is set on the Spirit. And when the mind is set on the Spirit, there's life and peace. Life and peace. Let us set our minds on the Spirit. In doing so, we will discover peace. In this very difficult world, we'll discover peace. And we'll have peace. And we'll discover joy. Let's surrender to God. Let me just pray. Father, thank you for these brothers. Thank you for this wonderful fellowship. And thank you for your word. You know what it means to us and what it means to everyone who has heard it. Explain it more than I could, because it is your word. Because it is your word. And help us shift from defense to surrender. Help us to shift from death to peace, to joy, to knowing that you are with us. Help us to trust you today. In Jesus' name I pray.